This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Most Valuable Promotions and Netflix are putting on a blockbuster triple headliner on Saturday, May 16th at the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. In the main event, Ronda Rousey returns after nearly a decade to face fellow women's MMA pioneer Gina Carano. Plus co-mains Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. And the best heavyweight in the world, Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lins. Watch Rousey versus Carano, live tonight, only on Netflix.
Are your ad campaigns lighting up the dashboard, but not the pipeline? That's bullspend, and marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
My boss asked for results, so I opened my dashboard for the only positive-sounding metric I had: impressions.
Cut the bullspend. See revenue, not just reach. LinkedIn delivers the highest return on ad spend of major ad networks. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
No one goes to Hank's for his spreadsheets. They go for a darn good pizza. Lately, though, the shop's been quiet, so Hank decides to bring back the $1 slice. He asks Copilot in Microsoft Excel to look at his sales and costs and help him see if he can afford it. Copilot shows Hank where the money's going and which little extras make the dollar slice work. Now Hank has a line out the door. Hank makes the pizza, Copilot handles the spreadsheets. Learn more at m365copilot.com/work.
To Haway the podcast. It's Gavin. You join us for our match preview pod as we look ahead to Sunderland versus Everton at the Hill-Dickenson Stadium, our second visit to the new Everton ground of the season. Of course, we've already played there in the FA Cup, but this time around we're in the league and it's our last away game of the season, and I'm going along to this one, as are a few thousand other Sunderland fans, hoping to round off our trips on the road in this campaign with another victory. And joining me today to chat all about it, first up we've got Johnny Hawley. Hello, mate.
Hello. Nice to be back.
Yeah, how we doing, mate? We're good.
Aye, not too shabby. Looking forward to this one as well. You know, I've said it a few times recently, but I'm just still basking in the feeling of just enjoying the end of the season. It's great. Looking forward to it. But if we lose, well, happy days.
And if we win, who knows what might happen? And we might get onto that. Also with us is Andrew. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. I'm a little bit jealous of you going to the game. It should be a good one. And I think we must be the first team to be making a return visit to their new ground, which is of no interest, but I thought I'd mention it anyway.
Well, if there is ever a history book about Everton's new ground, you know, there might be a little line in there that says the first team to play there twice other than Everton was Sunderland, you know. Good point. You were at the under-21s final last night as we record this, Andrew, weren't you? And the lads unfortunately lost 2-1. I don't know how they lost 2-1, if I'm honest. From what I watched, you know, hit the post a few times. Abdullah had loads of chances. Alexis had loads of chances. Sunderland just couldn't get the job done. But unfortunately, a sad end to things with Sunderland losing out that one. I do think, though, that they did themselves, you know, plenty justice, and I think Burnley probably do feel a little bit fortunate. I would say they've got to, because Sunderland were definitely the better team. Which, if you can take anything at all from losing in a final, you know, at least we were the better side, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We created the majority of the chances, and as you say, really, Burnley are perhaps feeling as if they've got away with one there. Certainly in the first 30, 35 minutes, we were just creating chance after chance, Garvin. We couldn't put them away. I don't know if that was nerves with it being a final or what. But as soon as that starts happening, you get that nasty feeling, don't you, that, we're going to get a sucker punch here. And so it happened. I mean, I can't think of many other chances Burnley had other than the goals. So, yeah, a bit of a shame, but if you want to turn it into a positive, hopefully those players will learn from it and in future games perhaps try and be a bit more clinical and kill things off when things are going your way.
Yeah, and like I say, I watched it, and Andy did the player ratings on not you, Andrew, our other Andy, Did the player ratings on the website for the game. So if people want to see how each player performed, you can dig that out over on rotereport.sbnation.com. Who were the standouts for you, Andrew, just before we get into the Everton chat?
Oh, I don't know about standouts. I think Abdullahi and Alexic had the majority of the chances.
Abdullahi's exciting at times, isn't he? I quite like watching him. He's obviously not the finished product, but he does look a bit like a man amongst boys at times when I watch him for the 21s.
Well, he showed lots of like tricks and skills. He was playing all sorts of clever little flick-ons and that. Super strong. There was a couple of times players were bouncing off him. Yeah, I think he's been hampered with injuries. I'm sure there was a game in pre-season where he played for the first team and did really well, and you thought, oh, is this going to be him kicking on? And it's just been a campaign of injuries and problems for him. He'll probably look back on it and think it's been a wasted year for him. So I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more from him. The lad who scored the goal, who came on as a sub, I think it was Felix Scott. Can't remember now.
That's right. Yeah.
He's done well this season. He's a clever player, and he came on and changed things and got us back into the game.
And he's got a cool name as well. Quite like
Do you like that?
Felix Scott. That's just like, if you're going to make it as a footballer and you call that, you're winning, really.
Well, in a few years' time, we might hear it getting shouted out on the on the tannoy at the stadium a light. So it was disappointing, but there's still some quality players there.
Yeah. Well done to the lads, regardless of the result, and they've had a canny season. Whenever I watch them, they play some entertaining stuff. The future's bright. I think a lot of them players who featured in the final, if they're not moving on at the end of the season permanently, they'll certainly get good loans elsewhere. So be interesting to see how things progress off the back of that, particularly with some of them names we just mentioned. Ahmed Abdullahi, Milan Alexic. You mentioned Felix Scott. Marcus Neal, who came off the bench. He's got a big year ahead of him. So, Harrison Jones, who captained the team, looks like he's leaving on a free this summer. So yeah. Well done to the boys, anyways, in the tournament. But anyways, chaps, I'm going to put you on the spot with a pop quiz. Last time that Sunderland played at Goodison Park, this was in the Premier League, the last league away game between Sunderland and Everton. Can anyone remember the result? First off, and I don't want to see any typing here. I don't want to see anybody looking for things on Google.
Must have been
on the 25th of February 2017 is the date.
Must have been under David Moyes, was it?
Would have been.
It was indeed.
I mean, we were crap that season, so I'm thinking we didn't win.
Well, we definitely lost. We lost most weeks. So that's a fair assumption to make. Any guesses at the score?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Forgettable game.
I was going to say I don't remember us getting turned over or anything, so I'd be thinking it must be like a 1 or a 2-0 maybe sort of jobby.
Yeah, 2-0 it was. 2-0. And the two goal scorers for Everton that day were Idrissa Gana Gay and Romelu Lukaku. So
it's not a bad couple of players to concede goals to be fair.
No, I mean, I'm looking at their team from that day. They were a decent side that they had out. It was around that time they were spending quite a lot of money, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
I think Ronald Koeman was the Everton manager, and they were chucking a bit of money at trying to progress. So you can sort of look at it and say, yeah, that's fair enough. I can understand why we lost that one. But the Sunderland team that day, chaps, we're going to try and remember what it was. Looking at this, I think it was a 4-5-1 with two wingers. Let's start with the goalkeeper. Who's gonna take that one?
Must have been Pickford.
Yeah, correct. It was Jordan Pickford. That'll have been the last time he played against Everton for another club, you would think. Yeah. So there you go. Now an Everton legend. Right back for Sunderland, Andrew. Do you want to have a guess?
Oh, Billy Jones, presumably.
Yes, correct. At left back that day, Johnny. Any guesses? A former Everton player?
Yeah, Brian Oviedo, I was going to say.
Yes. And the two central defenders, Andrew, they were pretty much an ever-present, these two together that season.
Kone.
Yeah.
Was it Kone? And it wasn't Digilabodji, was it?
No.
Or was it O'Shea?
No.
Did John O'Shea come back in?
Yeah. Yep. John O'Shea was in at centre half, so that was a great back four, wasn't it? Centre of the park, Go on, Johnny. I'll give you a couple of guesses at this one. Another ex-Everton player was in there. Put it that way.
Oh God. So Stephen Pienaar was
No.
it? Oh, Gibson.
Darren Gibson. Yeah, he was one of them.
So we were collecting shit ex-Everton players at that time. So
yeah. That was when David Moyes just lost the plot, basically.
That doesn't narrow it down. That's the whole season.
Our other two centre mids.
Was Catamol playing that day?
No, he wasn't even on the bench.
Not even on the bench. You're testing us there.
How about a long shot? Jason Denayer. What?
No.
That's a good shout, mine, because he did play holding midfield a few times, didn't he?
Again, he wasn't in the squad that day.
So Gibbs. Oh, and Dong.
Yeah.
And
one more.
I've literally wiped him from my brain. I hate him that much. Gibson and Dong.
Did he stop playing Kirchhoff by then?
Yeah, there was no Kirchhoff in the squad either.
There wouldn't have been Kazri because Moyes hated him because he was actually good.
Kazri was on the bench.
Yeah.
Centre mid.
Honeyman?
Blonde-eyes, blue hair.
Oh, blonde-eyes, blue hair. Seb Larson.
Correct. Yeah. You mentioned George Honeyman. He did come off the bench that day for Darren Gibson. He played the last 10 minutes of the match.
I'll take half a point then. That's all right.
I forget George Honeyman even played in the Premier League, but yeah.
Well, he was 7 out of 10 when he did play.
Of course. The two wide players that day. Do you want to try the left winger, Andrew?
Januzaj?
No, but Januzaj played on the right, I think. Looking at this.
He will have done cutting inside in the most heavily inverted commas of all time.
But on the left was a forward who we grew to love over a couple of spells at Sunderland.
Oh, couple of spells.
That's an odd, yeah.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, listeners, we have just had it spoiled. Gav's done the celebration. It was Fabio Borini, wasn't it? Of course. The handbite, man. I think if I'm like 90-odd-year-old and my mind's completely gone, someone will do that handbite in front of us. I'll start bringing out the old chants in that, like.
Yeah. And up front, our most reliable player that season, I would say.
Yeah, obviously Jermaine Defoe in it, Andrew.
Correct. Correct. The bench, I'm not even going to... I mean, I've gave away a few of the members of the bench. Let's try and guess. So the three players who came on that day were Manquillo, Honeyman and Kazri. But we had 4 unused subs. 1 goalkeeper.
Was the goalkeeper that awful Mika?
Yes.
Mika.
Yes, correct. Centre half, ex-Everton player.
Lescott.
Yeah, Julian Lescott, yeah.
Julian Lescott. Right back.
Donald Love.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
and last but not least, an academy product who I think made his debut that season, right at the start of it.
Lyndon Gooch.
Correct, indeed.
He made his debut against Pep Guardiola's first game against at Man City, didn't he? The first game of that season.
He did indeed. Yeah, well done, boys. Got through that one a bit better than I thought you would. I mean, I did give a few assists along the way, but yeah, that was the last meeting between Everton and Sunderland in the Premier League at Everton. So yes, well done, boys. Let's move on slightly then. Let's look at the league table. So we are in 12th place currently with 2 games to go. We're on 48 points. If we win both games, that would leave us on 54 points, which at the minute would have you in 7th. That's obviously if everybody lost every game, which isn't going to happen. But it's also a healthy chunk above 8th and 9th, which I think is probably, if we've got any hope at all of finishing in what could possibly be a European place, that's where we want to be, particularly given that we're playing 2 teams above us in the table in the next 2 games. Everton are on 49, obviously. I said we're on 48, so there's a point separating us and our opponents. They're certainly not giving up any hope of Europe, I would imagine, despite being in pretty naff form, Everton. They'll be looking at the fact that Brentford are only 2 points ahead of them and thinking, well, if we beat Sunderland, go into the last game with something to play for. Should we be doing the same, Johnny, do you think? If we beat Everton and we, results kind of go our way this weekend, will we be looking at a Chelsea game, hopefully thinking, you know what, we might still be able to get something, yeah? Because when you look at the other games that are going on around the Premier League over the weekend, you've got Brentford playing Palace. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there? Brentford have lost a couple of games recently. We could take points off Everton, which if we won, I called them 6-pointers. It's effectively what it is, really. What else we got going on? Fulham are away at Wolves. I mean, I mean, do us a favour.
Yeah, maybe someone will pull Tolu's dreads again and we'll be sorted out.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is a very slim chance that we could have something to play for if results go our way this weekend.
And all you can do is put yourself in the position, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all well and good talking about the permutations, but if we don't pick up the points against Everton, then it all means nothing, because if we lose, there's no chance that we're going to get in. So the first step is obviously to win this game, and I think this is possibly an area where Le Bris and the players as well, consistent mantra the whole season of not setting targets, but just, you know, continually thinking about the next game, probably does help them a little bit more than maybe some of the teams around us, because it would have been quite easy, I think, as probably a lot of us as fans have fallen into this trap a bit, where Europe suddenly becomes a genuine possibility. So then you start viewing the fixtures through the lens of how do we qualify for Europe. And you would have looked at it on paper before the Wolves and the Man United games and gone, if we take 4 or 6 points out of those two, whoa, what a chance that'll be. And then we've got 2 points. So if you go into that thinking, well, what do we need to do over this run of games to get Europe? You're coming away deflated. You're feeling like you're behind the 8 ball and having to play catch up. Whereas if they just go into it thinking, we played well in the last game against Man United, we've got a chance to play well in this game against Everton. If we do that, and if we play anything like what we did that first half, especially against Man United, we'll have a great chance of getting a result against Everton. Because they're a decent team, and as much as we all hate them, David Moyes is clearly a decent Premier League manager at any club that's not Sunderland. So, you know, they're going to put up a test, but that level that we showed in that first half against Man United, in my opinion, is good enough to beat Everton. So we can just kind of reset and go again, I think, rather than feeling like we've missed an opportunity and we've got to catch up. We can just stay on an even keel and keep going. And then, like you say, after this game, obviously there's only 1 game left. So at that point, we'll have a pretty clear idea of what would need to happen on that last day for us to sneak in. And then at that point, you go, right, okay, final day, it's a 1-game shootout. Now we've got to try and go for it. But I still think even 1 game earlier, we can just use that same mindset that we've been in all season. And I've said this a few times over the past season and a bit, but I think we've shown a lot of times that we're very resilient under Le Bris and we bounce back from disappointment really well. And the last 2 games in the round probably are a bit of a disappointment. Like Wolves, we should have beat them, and United, it was a great performance, but coulda, woulda, should have been more. And I think this is set up nicely for us to be able to come back and put in a good performance. And it would be nice, wouldn't it, for the final day to feel like it still matters. Because, okay, it's not the end of the world if we miss out, and if we drop points against Everton, you know, that's okay. But it would be great to go into the final day of the season to a packed stadium alight against a big club as well, and have something really meaningful to play for. And to get to that position, we have to win this game. So it's a huge chance, especially with, like you say, Everton's form not being the best in the world as well. I don't think there's any reason that we should be fearful going into this game whatsoever.
Yeah, and Johnny kind of touched on it there, Andrew. Looking at Everton's form, there've been a lot of close games recently. They drew 2-2 with Palace, drew 3-3 with Man City when they were 3-1 up. Lost a close game with West Ham 2-1, lost a close game against Liverpool 2-1, drew 2-2 with Brentford. So, yeah, they're not winning games, but they're in games. They're scoring goals. Everton, they're a dangerous team, and that's got to be factored in. You know, we're going into their backyard. This is I guess a big occasion for them because it's the last home game of their first ever season at this ground, and I think it's been announced today that Seamus Coleman's leaving Everton at the end of the season, so that it's going to be his big farewell to the Everton fans. You know, whether he starts or comes off the bench or whatever, I don't know, but there's a sense of occasion about it for Everton. We kind of get wrapped up in that. We've just got to try and win the game, and I think we probably learned quite a lot from the Man U performance, that this team haven't given up yet. I mean, even if there is a slim chance, you've got to fight till the end. It's become our club mantra, you know, and regardless of what Everton have got going on, their own aspirations to finish in a European position, you know, we've just got to go there and think, right, if we win this game and a couple of results go our way, we're going to have something to play for. All the players want to be playing for something right to the end of the season. They want to be going into that Chelsea match feeling like it's a cup final with the home atmosphere behind them. And that puts a bit of pressure on this game, I think, but at the same time, it's no different to quite a lot of situations we found ourselves in this season where Sunderland have got away from home into the cauldron and just kind of cracked on and picked up results.
They have done, Gav. I'm not concerned about how our squad will cope with pressure because they've shown themselves to have really good tunnel vision. They've turned up at St. James's and not been fazed. They've turned up at lots of places in the country and not been fazed. At Wembley and in the playoffs last season, I mean, it's only a couple of days after the anniversary of Dan Ballard's goal against Coventry. Whenever the heat is on, Sunderland seem to respond pretty well. So I'm not worried about that aspect of things. You're right, Everton are dangerous. From their point of view, they're going to want to do well. Sunderland and Everton have conceded the same amount of goals, I've noticed, but Everton must have about, 10 or 12, something around that, more goals for them. So yeah, they're as good as us.
9, I think it is, just looking at
9?
it. Yeah.
Oh, fair dues. They're as good as us defensively, but perhaps slightly more threatening going forward. So it's not going to be easy. I do think the Seamus Coleman news will have a factor on the atmosphere. I mean, imagine if Sunderland had a player who'd been with us he must be coming up to 2 decades,
Been there a long time, eh?
Yeah, so if Sunderland had a figure like that, a much-loved character who was moving on, the fans would want to give him a good send-off. What staggers me, though, Gav, is the turnaround between the first aspect of this podcast, where we were talking about Sunderland's last spell in the Premier League, and now we're talking about, can we sneak into Europe or have we slightly blown our chances? I mean, just compare the group now to that shower that we worked through from 2017. I mean, to be fair, there's a couple of individuals in there who I didn't mind, but like squad against squad, it's just chalk and cheese. Sunderland are in an excellent position, and if we don't scrape into Europe, if we don't finish in the top 10, this will be an amazing season when we look back on it down the line, I think. Having said that, it would be nice to just finish on a bit of a high and get some points against Everton and Chelsea.
Absolutely. Right, well, we'll go for a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll chat about what we think Sunderland's team will look like, and of course, how we're going to tackle this David Moyes-inspired Everton side. So we'll see you in a minute.
Comcast is delivering extraordinary experiences in live sports. Through the incredible broadcast and storytelling from NBC, innovative and personalized viewing features on Xfinity and Peacock, and the country's most reliable Wi-Fi, viewers can enjoy every game-changing play faster and more seamlessly than ever. All on a network built to deliver unforgettable moments as close to live as possible. The ultimate experience for the American sports fan. Learn more at ComcastCorporation.com/sports.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
You may think you know McDonald's drinks, but you don't know them like this. From fruity refreshers like the Strawberry Watermelon Refresher and the Mango Pineapple Refresher with popping boba, to crafted sodas like the Sprite Berry Blast with berry-flavored Sprite topped with cold foam. Who knew ice-cold drinks could be so fire? 6 all-new drinks are here. Try them all, now at McDonald's. Refreshers contain caffeine.
Welcome back to Haway, the podcast. Just before the break there, we were chatting briefly about what this game all means for everybody, and looking at this Everton team, Johnny, and I know that they've got some strong players. They're good from set players. It was good to read that Jared Branthwaite and Idrissa Gana Gueye will remain out injured for this one. I think they're also missing Jack Grealish as well. He's a bit more of a long-term concern there, but I'm glad he's not playing because I think he's clearly been their best player this season from what I've seen. But, and Ilman and Dye on the left, it's not a bad replacement on that side of the pitch, is he? They've got dangerous players. I remember back to that game at the stadium. I actually think we played really, really well in the second half of that game. They battered us in the first half. And it was Ndiaye who got the goal. It was a really good goal, wasn't it? And Dewsbury Hall's had a canny season for them as well. Canny player. Beto, when he decides to turn up, is a bit of a threat. But I don't look at them and fear them necessarily. I think, like in many games, I look at them and think, well, I can see, match them up player for player. I can see where we can expose them. I think we've got players who can harm them if we play at the intensity that we did against Manchester United. And I think that's got to be the barometer for this game to the players. Like, the intensity and the energy that we had in that game last weekend was, I mean, we've put some really good performances in this season, but I just think that we looked really up for it, and it kind of showed how good we can be when we are up for it. And I know we didn't put the ball in the back of the net, but we did everything but. So, yeah, I'm looking at this Everton team and I'm thinking, why not go there and win? I know it's a big occasion for them, and I know that the whole Coleman thing is going to probably dominate the day because, he is a genuine club legend. He's been there. I just looked there, 17 years he's been there. So it's like, we're party to what's going to be quite a historic day, really, and certainly in their club's history. But we've just got to go there and get at them. And I think I genuinely think when I look at that defence in particular, I think you can get pace in behind that defence, you've got a chance.
Absolutely. I think Everton really remind me of us, to be honest. They're one of the teams in the Premier League I think are most similar. I'm not saying that, exactly the same as us, but they're a defensively well-organised team. They've got, you can draw a lot of parallels between the clubs as well in terms of the relation with the nearest rivals and the size of the club and the history and the stadiums and yada, yada. We talk about it every time we play Everton, I feel like. But yeah, they play obviously not the same style of football, but a very similar ethos, I think, to the way that they play. And they've got some really talented individuals. You've listed off a few. Obviously, some of them are injured, but even somebody like a Dewsbury Hall, he's a player who could come up with a moment, and turn a game. But we've got a few of those as well. We've got Enzo Lefebvre, who can conjure something up. We've got Granit Xhaka. We've got, even Nodi Mukele. He's been heavily involved in some of our goals this season. So there's no reason why we can't go toe-to-toe with them. It's not the kind of game where, obviously we're away from home, so we're going to be the lesser fancied of the two regardless, even if we were dead evenly matched, because you just always are. You expect the home team to come out and maybe push the issue a little bit more. But there's no reason why we should go into this game and feel like we need to sit back and defend deep and try and hit them on the break. And, we're not going to the Emirates. We're not going to, we're not going to the Etihad or places like that where we've gone into those games and thought, if we come away with a point here and haven't landed a couple of punches, we've done all right. This is nowhere near that. This is a game we should go into and feel like we've got every chance of turning up, playing our game, and, it relies on a lot of things going right in the game, obviously, of course. But if we can establish a bit of a foothold in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes, don't let them get on top of us and make sure that we're, obviously, like I say, solid and robust and difficult to get past. If we get that right, then there's no reason why we can't turn that into a bit of a platform we can build on and really take the game to them and have every confidence that we can come away with a win, because there's no reason why we should look at that Everton team beyond the odd individual and think, oh, we're miles off it. Again, like you said, Gav, like you look at the team and you can kind of go name for name, individual by individual. There's plenty of players in our team would probably start for Everton, the same as there is the other way around. Like, we're in that middle rung of the Premier League as we sit now, where every team's got a pretty good defence. Every team's got a few standout players, probably. Every team is capable on their best day of turning up and beating you, but equally, the reason we're all in the middle of the Premier League and not at the top is because those days aren't every week. So we need a bit of luck. We need the timing to work out for us. But yeah, I think this Everton team, I don't expect it to be an open game. Put it that way. I don't think we're going to be rocking up and scoring 3 or 4. It's going to be a hard-fought battle, as it always is against the David Moyes team, except when he was manager of Sunderland. So, with all that in mind, I think it's a great opportunity, but also it's a game, I think, where we've got a chance to try and build that momentum a bit more, because we've all said, I think, haven't we? We played really well against Man United. Now we've got to carry that on. We've got to start proving we're a team who can string those performances together and not just a team who has a performance like that every 3 or 4 weeks, because that's how you really progress, I think. And obviously the club will, they'll have both eyes on progression, not just having an eye on it. So there's no better time than the present, is there, to start showing our stuff.
That's it. The team selection should be interesting as well, Andrew, given, we played very, very well against Man U, but I mean, I know we've talked about them quite a lot since the game, but I can't get around the fact that Hertrauda, we can't expect him to leave. And at the same time, though, he played excellently, didn't he? So it clearly doesn't bother the manager that players are leaving at the end of the season. He's not thinking, well, I'm not going to have you next year, so I'll just play with somebody else who is going to be here. He's looking at the squad and thinking, you're the best man for the job on this occasion. And it would be tough, wouldn't it, to drop him because he was so good against Man U. I mean, he's not got Ballard back, so there's nothing you can do about that. But there are other options. Trey Hume could play right back. Nordy could play there, and you could bring maybe somebody else at centre half. But I think he's probably likely to stick by Hertrauda, isn't he? And I think as well the other one that was mentioned in the press conference was Bertrand Traoré, because he was asked specifically about him. And kind of does his contract status, the fact he leaves at the end of the season, does that affect his status ahead of this game for the rest of the season? And he basically said no, not at all. He's available for selection. So it doesn't seem like the kind of manager who cares too much about next season yet necessarily. He will, certainly internally, but when it comes to picking his team for the remaining games, I think he's just thinking about how to get a result.
Exactly, and we've not heard anything at all about Hertrauda not putting it in training or sulking or anything like that. So we've got to assume he's still fully on board and he's committed. In that case, I don't see why Le Bris will want to drop him. That back four, I can't remember the exact stat, but Man United had been on this really good run of consecutive games where they scored. We were the first team in a long while to shut them out. So it would feel a little bit of a risk to start changing that back four unless there's a specific reason. I'd be sticking with that back four. Gav, you said earlier you were just talking about Seamus Coleman and how he'll be wanting to send off and what have you. We don't think David Moyes is going to want to arrange some sort of guard of honour where we kick the ball out for a throw-in and everybody has to applaud him off the pitch, do we? That's not what's going to happen, I hope.
Well, if he suggests it, I hope we just tell him where to ram it. Yeah. Oh, by the way, it was 24 games that Man U had gone with not scoring. So
yeah, that's good going, Gav. Why would you be looking to change a back four that's just stopped that record against a team who were threatening an attack, against Fernandes, who everybody talks about how many assists he creates? We looked good defending set pieces, which was a big improvement on how we'd been in the weeks before.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that, like you said, Gabby, what's going to happen next season with players isn't going to be at the forefront of Le Bris's mind. And I would be surprised if he was going to introduce changes to that back four at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. And you're nodding, Johnny. I'm guessing you agree. But further up the pitch, I think that's where it is a little bit more up for debate. I think I certainly get the impression that Enzo's going to carry on playing in that sort of 10 position. I saw an interview with him earlier in the week where he was talking about how he wants to play there, and I feel like he's maybe been told, look, play there the next few games kind of thing. So, the midfield three's probably settled too. It's going to be Siddiqui, Xhaka and Enzo. But on the wings, he went with Trey Hume and Talby against Man United, and both those players were brought off, which I suppose points to the fact I don't think that. This sounds really harsh. I think it's the glaring weakness in the team, if I'm honest, when you look out wide. Not that those are weak players necessarily. I love Trey Hume and I think Talby's great as well. But I think you can kind of go around the pitch and go, that when that player is fit, they're guaranteed to play every game. We don't have that same guarantee on the wings, and I genuinely think it's just because we haven't had that consistency of selection. Like Traore's been injured all season, and Angulo's been out with a bad injury, and Rig had a really good little run of games there, but he's back out of the team now, and Diarra maybe could come in and you can move things around, but I just don't see it. But what you're thinking about when it comes to the wings at the weekend, because we are away from home, and I think certainly you would say it's a trait of Le Bris that he likes to be a bit more conservative, and then if we need to make changes later in the game, he'll become a little bit more expansive. So what you thinking? Do you reckon he sticks with Trey Hume there, despite the fact he was probably our worst player against Man U? Does he bring in Angulo, given he's fit? Because, he brought him on for Talby, and I know he's been in the papers a bit this week for that incident with Fernandes, but he's going to want to be playing a little bit of football before the end of the year to try and prove his worth. Mayenda came off the bench, albeit for a few minutes, so he's back in the reckoning at least. He's been looked at. You could even make a case for bringing in Rig again because he's played well. Jocelyn Tarby's fit. Could we see him? He was thrown in as a complete curveball, wasn't he, when he started that game that he got injured in? So what do you think with the wings?
Yeah, easy question. I think you're right, by the way, when you're sort of analysing the squad there. The wings is definitely the weak point, and it is because, like you say, who knows who's got what shirt? Like, even somebody like Talby, who's played more games than the majority of our wide options, he started the season as a right winger and he's finishing it as a left winger. So there's clearly, inconsistency in selection. There's obviously work to be done there. Where that leaves us, it is a weird position the last couple of games. Angulo's interesting because I didn't expect him to come on as early as he did against Man United. I thought the way the game was going, I just wasn't sure if Angulo would be trusted tactically to slot in, but clearly he's, from what we've seen, he's a grafter, isn't he, Angulo? You can say what you like about him, he's not done much going forward because he's not had a lot of chances, but he's absolutely no slouch and he doesn't shirk his workload, so he could start. I think he's guaranteed to get on the pitch, but I think it's much more likely off the bench. I've got a feeling he might go back to Rig because I don't think Hume playing in that position is doing him any favours either. And I think, the game against Man United, I don't think Hume was dreadful. I don't think he didn't disgrace himself or anything like that. He was fine defensively. He covered his ground, but it was so glaringly obvious every time we counter-attacked. If the ball went to Hume, the attack died. And it sounds horrible to say, but it's just true. He was struggling to find even reasonably simple through balls and stuff, and especially in an away game where, as much as I don't want us to just sit back and try and counter-attack, we're probably going to get the most joy on the break, aren't we? Or sort of in transition. Like, it's just it's one of the givens of Premier League football is you're going to get most of your joy away from home when they've overcommitted and you're getting behind. And Hume isn't the right player for that kind of setup, whereas Rig, for all of the flaws that he has, because he's not a winger and he's not the strongest yet and whatever, he uses the ball a lot better than Trey Hume does. And that's to be expected because Chris Riggs is a sort of attack-minded midfield player and Trey Hume's a fullback. But with that in mind, yeah, I think, because I do think he's still going to go conservative on at least one of the two sides, where he was kind of fudging it a bit for a long time by playing Enzo on the left, who was his safe option, but also just so good that he's still creating chances and getting forward and looking brilliant. If Enzo goes in the middle, I think he's going to have to compensate by bringing in Rig on that side and then probably push Talby over to the left. Because I think Talby, again, grafts and he's a proper hard worker. And I think he's a little bit better defensively, like skill-wise, than people give him credit for at times as well. Considering that he's sort of, as a profile of player, he's meant to be a flying winger who's attacking people. So yeah, for me, I think, well, what I would do is I probably wouldn't play Enzo in the middle, but I'm a big scaredy cat, so I'm glad Reggie won't listen to me and play Enzo in the middle. And with that in mind, I think he'll bring Rig in, and I think it'll be Talby on the other side. But like I say, Angulo, he'll definitely get on the pitch. The more interesting one is Mayenda, whether he gets on at all, because he came on 89.5 minutes against Man United. Yeah. It's not the greatest amount of time to stake a claim, but I think it's pretty clear that Mayenda's still got a future at the club. Otherwise he'd have probably gone the way of Isidore and we wouldn't even be seeing him touch the pitch at all. So I don't see a world where Mayenda starts, but I'd be very interested to see a world where he gets 20 minutes, half an hour off the bench. Because I think if the game goes well, it could be a good opportunity to have a slightly stress-free environment and try some of this stuff out. But because we are still just about in the hunt, we can't go mad from the off. We can't, as much as I'd love to see a Jocelyn Tarbee, because I thought when he started that cup game, it was against Oxford, wasn't it? Or did he come off anyway, that game against Oxford, he was bright, he was exciting, he was running at people, but he's very raw. So do you want to see him from the start in a game where if you win, you're in the hunt for Europe? Maybe not yet. Would I love to see him come off the bench and get a chance? 100%. Because I think Angulo and Tarbee especially look really exciting. If they get some proper game time and going into next season, I think they could be, properly good prospects that we've brought in. It's just a bit early at the minute.
Yeah. Angulo could become the most hated man in the Northwest, Andrew, if we put him up against Seamus Coleman and he tears his arse out in his final game at Everton. He's already hated in Manchester. Let's make him hated in Merseyside. But no, in all seriousness, I think the decisions are there to be made on the wings. I'm edging towards it being Rig and Angulo, if I'm honest. I want to see Angulo if he's ready to start a game. I just want to see him play. I've seen plenty of Talby. I know what he can do. I think he's still a bit of an unknown quantity. I don't think Everton have really done any homework on him because they can't have. There's not much to really do. If he's feeling sharp, even if we get an hour out of him, I just want to see a little bit more of Angulo, basically. Don't know about you.
I've got no problem with the idea of him getting more minutes. Talby, and in general, I think both of you have made really good points, but I get the feeling that the wingers is going to be a reoccurring discussion, not just for these last two games, but for the whole of the summer. Because you're right, it is the two areas of the pitch where the biggest question marks are. Talby, for me, I don't know if the actual stats bear this out, but I don't think he often starts too many games in a row. He'll have a game, do well, and then find himself back on the bench. So
what was the first one subbed off as well, isn't he? He never really gets a full 90.
Yeah. Now, we don't know why that is. Maybe he's not fully up to the pace of the Premier League, or maybe I take Johnny's point in that he actually does a fair bit of defensive work, but maybe there's a concern if the game's tight that he might lose the ball and suddenly we're 1-0 down and all that hard work's gone. I'm not quite sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if he came out of the side. Wouldn't necessarily be my choice, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Angulo is always going to get opportunities because of his ability to go both ways up and down the pitch. One of the things that stood out about him when we signed him were his defensive stats. And yes, you want your wingers to be creative, but under Le Bris, if you can't do the other side of the game, you're not going to get into the team. I think we will be looking at, his name's passed me by, but the lad we were discussing earlier who scored against us at the Stadium of Light, he is, he is one of their biggest threats. So they might look to leave Hume in and do a bit of a defensive job there. I personally think Hume is part of being higher up the pitch only really is necessary against, I don't know, Arsenal away, Liverpool away. This is a game that's going to be finely balanced and we can probably afford to be a bit more adventurous. I think I've taken you around the houses long enough now. All just to basically agree with yourselves in that Rig coming in ticks most of the boxes because he can do defensive work, he can do attacking work. What he's got ahead of the other lads who are coming back from injury is that he's been around the first team recently, so he's up to speed on the tactics. Whatever job Le Bris wants him to do, Le Bris will know that he can do it because he's shown it in recent weeks.
Yeah. I'm as I'm sitting here though, I'm thinking, have we got anything to lose by being expansive and a bit more on the front foot? We can still do that with players like Rig and Angulo or Talby. I think we need to win if we're going to stand any chance of having something to play for going into the weekend. So, but how you do that, that doesn't mean, well, you just go all out attack from the first minute, because then you could end up getting scudded. And Everton are a decent team. I don't want to be too open against them, but there is the opportunity there to win. And I think if we go there playing like we're going to play for a draw, when we haven't done ourselves justice. I think we saw against Man U what we can do when we're on the front foot. And that, when I say on the front foot, that means getting your foot in, getting stuck in, winning the second balls, being first, everything, wanting it a bit more than the other team. I mean, they're going to be up for it just because of the Coleman thing. I honestly think that's going to have such an impact on them. I don't think he'll start. He hasn't barely played this season, has he? But he'll certainly get off the bench, and it'll be a bit of a this is for Seamus type of thing. There's going to be that togetherness in the stadium, and I just think that means we've got to be guarded for probably the first 10, 15 minutes, but then hit them, get into them. Let's see what happens if we do that. Let's go with some predictions. And Johnny, what are you reckoning? Do you think we're going to get anything from this? I fancy the party.
Yeah, I fancy us to get something, definitely. And I think you spot on, like you say, they're going to be bang up for it. So we're going to have to negotiate the early part of the game. I think, we're not going to rock up and fly out the blocks and have it all our own way. But I think we've shown on a lot of occasions this season that this team is more than capable of not even so much shutting up shop, but like you say, you can be aggressive while still being defensive. You can be flying into challenges, you can be, snapping into 50-50s, you can be, running your arse off all over the pitch. And I think we've got that in spades. So I still think it's going to be a tight game, mind. Fuck it, I'll predict a win. Go on, we're going to win. We're going to win 2-1, because we always win 2-1.
It's a disaster last time you predict the win, by the way. Fuckers. 3-0, it's going to be 3-0 to Sunderland, and then we'll get battered. Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, I fancy a win as well. It's one of those ones where any result wouldn't shock you, because, Everton are in that middle group with us. When Johnny was mentioning that middle group earlier, I had a little look at the form table. It's only by a point or so, but we're actually doing better than the other teams directly above us. So, give us a bit of confidence there. Get at Everton. I'll say 2-0, and then that sets us up for a lovely end of season at home to Chelsea, where there is the possibility of getting into Europe, and dare I say it, finishing above the Mags.
Yes, absolutely. What do I think? If we're going to win, I think it'll be 1-0. I don't see this being like like the Villa game where there was loads of goals. I think it's going to be tight either way. But there is a toothlessness about Everton at times. Like, Beto is either brilliant or shite, and same with the other lad, Tierno Barry. You don't know which version of him is going to turn up on any given day. Let's hope they're in poor form and we restrict them, and then we've always got a goal in us. It's just we don't always make it look too easy to win games, do we? So I'll go for a win, but I think it's going to be maybe a 1-0, and I'm hoping I have a happy day out, because I don't want to be coming back trudging home after we've been battered or anything. Particularly when I've got to talk to Everton fans at work next week. So
it could be worse. I went to the 6-2.
Yeah, well, I was at the was it 7-1? 7-1 under?
Was it 7-1 or was it 7-0? Because we had one against
7-1.
Chelsea. Was Chelsea 7-0? Around the same sort of time.
No, I can remember we got battered at Chelsea, but it wasn't 7-0. I think it was 7-1 under Keane, wasn't it? When Paul McShane was at fault for nearly every goal. I was at that one, and I left at 5-1. And as we were walking back to the car, you could hear the cheers for the other two goals. I remember that game clearly, and I remember the fact we scored because there was a bloke in front of us. Our only decent player that day was Dwight York, and this bloke was kicking right off about him for no reason, like laying into him. York, you're this, you're shite, all over. And then Dwight York scored, and everybody was just jumping on this bloke, smacking him on the back of the head. You daft bastard. And he wasn't happy. He didn't celebrate because it was Dwight York. I'll just always remember that. So I'm glad that's my happy memory of that game anyways.
Is that the editor of Roker Report admitting to leaving a Sunderland game early?
I've done it a few times. That was one of them.
No,
that was because I wasn't. That was because I wasn't driving. My dad was driving, and he was like, "Right, we're away."
Oh, so you were a hostage, so it's all fine.
Yeah.
Can I just check, lads, that we want to do this? We want to start the pod talking about Sunderland under the David Moyes era, and now we're just working out which of our various 7-0, 7-1, and 7-2 batterings we can remember.
We have had a few of them, haven't we?
We are still in the hunt for Europe. Well,
that's the thing. We're in the hunt for Europe, so the middle of the pod was unusually optimistic. So we've got to bookend it with some shit just to keep everyone grounded and not get too big for our boots.
Well, unless they bring Cahill and Fellaini out of retirement for this game, I think we should be all right, because it was always them torturous. Or Lukaku as well. He was another one, wasn't he? I'll always remember. Not even just for them. I remember do you remember when we played West Brom away and Titus Bramble slipped on his arse? Anyways, we are digressing. We will let people crack on with their day. If you listen to this on the way to Everton, I hope you have a safe journey. Have a good day out in Liverpool. Hopefully we have a good day out and we come back with 3 points, and we're talking about Sunderland's European charge being back on as we head into that final game of the season. That's what we want. Because I think, don't Chelsea play midweek this week?
Yes, because they've got the cup final, yeah.
Yeah, so Chelsea have got to wait a bit to play Tottenham, who are fighting, you know? So if we can win, if Wolves somehow take points off Fulham and Brentford drop points to Palace as well, and then, you know, Chelsea have got to play a Tottenham team who are fighting, and then all of a sudden, going into the final weekend, you've got Everton, who Tottenham might need to win that game to stay up. You've got Fulham against the Mags, and you never know what version of Newcastle are going to turn up. Brentford are away to Liverpool. We've got Chelsea. So it might feel like a lot has got to go our way to make this happen, but stranger things have happened. So if we're going to end on a positive, it's that. I think, let's not write ourselves off. And look, we might win and the results might not go our way, but that's all we can do. We can just give a spirited performance, hopefully give the sold out away end something to cheer about to go home with. Fingers crossed that is the case. Anyways, there will be a reaction pod on not too long after full time with, I think, Chris and either you two gentlemen on that one. I should have my schedule up in front of us, but I don't. But anyways, we do have a reaction pod coming up, and then there will be the Monday supplement this week. So plenty of pods coming your way to react to this game. Make sure you head over to rotereport.sbnation.com to get all of your previewy stuff from there. There'll be plenty on match day on the website, so make sure you check that out. There will be player ratings. There'll also be all of our post-match coverage on Monday morning, the usual match day musings and talking points and 2 up, 2 down and all that other good stuff. So make sure you head over to rotereport.sbnation.com. We are at Roter Report on all of your social media channels. And if you want to get in touch with us here at the podcast, you can email us on howaythepodcast@safc@gmail.com. There will be a Q&A coming up next week as well. So if you want to drop your questions in after the game for the lads, make sure you do. That just leaves me to say thank you very much, gents. It's been a pleasure as always. And hopefully we get 3 points. That's what we're hoping for. And thank you to the listeners. We'll catch you next time out. We'll see you later.